Okay, so we are here for our Fort informational webinar. Today is September 22nd, 2025, and I'm happy to have you here so that you can learn a little bit about the Foundations of Reading test and what I can do to help you. So first thing I want to do is just go over what our agenda is today. I want to let you know a little bit about me, who I am, what I do, who we help. We're going to cover the Fort 890 content overview so that you know exactly what the fort is going to be testing you on. We'll cover the different sub-area competencies, the specifications, and then I will talk to you about my digital course, Fort Prep 101, and how that can help you. And there will be time for Q&A. I will also be taking you into the digital course if you are interested in seeing what that is. So first thing, thank you for being here. My name is Emily Muccianti. I am a reading specialist. I spent 27 years in public education in California, born and raised in California, and I'm currently in Boise, Idaho. I left public ed about 4.5 years ago when we moved, and I've been supporting teachers, new teachers, particularly with the RICA, which is the Reading Instruction Competency Assessment that California used to require. But now that California is moving into the Foundations of Reading test, I have written another course to prepare for that exam. And so as a reading specialist, I have a great deal of experience in this field. I have had the pleasure and benefit of working in kindergarten through 12th grade in the intervention space and teaching kids to read at all levels with all sorts of issues and deficits. You can see these are pictures from my actual reading lab, working with students and training teachers in my classroom over the years. I've been a mentor teacher, a master teacher, and have done hundreds of observations of teachers over the years. And honestly, it is so much fun to work with new teachers and help you so that you can fill your toolkit with literacy instruction techniques and strategies, because I'm going to tell you, it's not easy out there, and we need knowledgeable teachers to help our students learn to read. Now, Fort Prep 101 was designed for new and aspiring teachers in the states that require the Foundations of Reading test for credentialing. Some states require it as a method of clearing your credential, like California. Some states require it for graduation from the university. So all states are a little bit different. And it seems like they're adding more and more states as we go. So right now we're talking about Connecticut, Iowa, Kansas, Maryland, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah, and newly also to California teachers. Now, the RICA for California is, the deadline to take the RICA is October 31st, so there are still 39 days for that. But because of the 45-day wait period, there's really only one more shot to take and pass the RICA. So a lot of people are, like those of you here, are looking to prepare for the fort because you're going to have more than 39 days. There's a lot of content to cover, so we want to make sure that we have that for you. This is also intended for test takers who need a structure and supportive prep guided by a mentor. That's what I have done for over 30 years. And it is really for anybody who feels overwhelmed by the science of reading content. This is going to take us into structured literacy, the science of reading, and that can feel really intimidating, especially for new teachers. So I make this very personable, very interactive in order to give you the experience that you need in order to pass this exam, because the most important thing is that you are walking away feeling like a confident reading teacher. It's not just about passing the exam, although that's the first thing, but the content and the professional development that you will gain as you prepare for this exam is a pretty big deal. So the FORT is a required certification exam in many states, and as I said, now California. Most of those states require it for their elementary general ed or multiple subject credentials, as well as their special education teachers. But that can vary state by state. So if you are in another state, you always want to check with your Department of Education to see if you are required to take it. The focus of the exam is on the science of reading and structured literacy, and I'll get into that as we move through this a little bit. What it is intended to do is to measure your foundational knowledge for effective reading instruction. You know that our test scores in reading in particular in the country are really, really terrible. And we have to ensure that our new teachers coming into the classroom have the basic baseline foundational knowledge to get out there in the classroom and help those kids learn to read no matter what area and level they are at. And so the new test structure, this is similar to the RICA for those of you in California, but it is more streamlined and more specific and targeted. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is also in some states for single subject credential holders that want to add a multiple subject credential. It is for private school teachers that are looking to teach multiple subjects, pre-K 3, early childhood educational specialists, special ed teachers. And it's also for teachers that were prepared in another country coming in. Perhaps they were an educator in their home country and coming in. This is one of the competency exams that may be required in your state. And so all of these requirements are going to need to be completed. For those of you that were taking the RICA, let's see, all of the other requirements needed to be met by June 30th in order for this to be a viable option. It's actually also a requirement for those that were prepared under the Peace Corps. So there is a lot of people that do need to take this exam and get it under their belt so that they can get into the classroom. So the structure of the fort. Now you're going to hear different numbers associated with the fort. The Fort 890 is the updated version of the exam. It used to be the 190, and there's just minor differences. So it's just really the code, the testing code that is through the testing facility. It's not a big deal for you as you are preparing. The content is going to be very, very similar. My course prepares for both. Now, the structure of this exam, there are 100 multiple choice questions and there are 2 constructed responses. The constructed responses are mid-size. There is no case study. So if you were with the RICA and you're familiar with the case study, there is no case study here. It's just the 2 constructed responses. This exam is taken in one sitting. You have 4 hours of testing time in addition to 15 minutes that has the beginning tutorial to familiarize yourself with the testing platform. And so it is one sitting. The RICA was broken down into subtests. The Fort is not. It's 100 questions and the 2 constructed responses all there. Now, the passing standard is different from state to state. In California, the current passing standard is 224. Now, they are saying that it's 224 because it is a new exam and they want to give people a little bit of time to kind of familiarize that. Most other states are around the 240 mark. Now, there is some variation. So depending on your specific state, you can go and see what those are. But we're looking at around 224 to 240 for passing. The scoring breakdown is the multiple choice questions count for 80% of the weight of your exam. The constructed responses, there are 2 of those, they only count for 20%, so 10% each. That means that the bulk of your score comes from those multiple choice questions. The cost right now, and this was California, is 139 to take the exam. Now, it's going to vary a little bit state by state, but that is pretty average. So the Foundations of Reading test is broken into sub areas. There are 3 main sub areas as far as the content goes, and then a 4th sub area that takes that same content but puts it into the constructed responses. So the first sub area is the Foundations of Reading development, and this is 35% of your score. So it is the bulk of your score comes from this first sub area. This is equivalent to subtest number 1 in the RICA, which would be the domains 2 and 3. The second sub area is the development of reading comprehension, and this counts for 27% of your score. The third sub area is reading assessment and instruction, which counts for 18% of your score, and then those 10% from each of those 2 constructed responses. One constructed response will focus on sub area 1, the foundational reading skills, and the other constructed response will focus on sub area 2, which is reading comprehension. So we're going to look a little closer at each of these sub areas. Now, the Foundations of Reading sub area number 1 is really about early literacy. And so it's going to put greater importance on the phonological and phonemic awareness, concepts of print and the alphabetic principle, phonics, word analysis, and decoding, which will take us up to older students, and the relationship between oral language and written language and how it impacts reading development and how we use that also in reading. So that oral language and written language component, if you were prepping for the RICA, that was not present in the RICA. So this is a new area, but as a reading teacher, it's an incredibly important area for helping our students with those essential early literacy skills. And it's something, quite honestly, that the RICA missed as far as its importance. This is incredibly important. So generally speaking, though, the focus with the age group will be a little bit younger until we get into more of the phonics and word analysis and decoding. Sub area number 2 is going to dig into reading comprehension. So this is all about vocabulary development and how that knowledge of vocabulary words, what those words mean, and how they impact the comprehension. It includes comprehension strategies, and it specifically will look at literary text versus informational text. There's also a component related to academic language. So vocabulary is not just about, different terms. There's also an academic language component to it that is woven here. And it covers the diverse learner. So there is more questions and focus related to the needs of our multilingual learners. The third sub area is all about assessment and instruction. Assessment has to always guide our instruction. So we need to know the different types of instruction, the different types of assessment, formal versus informal assessments, when to use those, what data we can collect, and how that guides our instruction. The differentiation and scaffolding of our instruction, so that as we're planning, what are we going to do to support those students who may need additional supports from us? And then also, what are some specific things that we can do for our students that have reading difficulties? So this will also involve intervention. How do we intervene when there is a problem? Now, sub area 4 just take sub area 1 and 2 and ask the question from a constructed response standpoint. This is about the application of the content. So where the multiple choice questions are going to make sure that you understand the vocabulary, you understand the strategies, you could name them, you could identify them, you know when to use them. This is actually going to ask you to articulate their usage and implication for a hypothetical student. So the prompt will look similar to, let me get this out for you. Preparing an organized, developed analysis on a topic related to the development of foundational reading skills. That's going to be the first constructed response. The second one is all about preparing an organized and developed analysis on a topic related to the development of reading comprehension. Each of those constructed responses counts for 10% of your overall score. So there are 2 writing tasks. Again, no case study. The writing is a minimum of 150 words, a maximum of 300 words for each of those. This is where you will be given student data to analyze or a particular setting or scenario to evaluate. You will then apply your knowledge of reading instruction to whatever question they ask of you. But this is really about the application of the content. This is not just theory. This is not just answering questions about what terms mean and that sort of thing. But it's important to know that when you're writing for the purpose of an exam like this, we're really looking at clear, concise writing. And it can be taught. I can teach you how to do this. It's very coachable, so that you know what to go in and look for, how to attack it, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time kind of figuring out what to write about. So as far as the test registration goes, this exam goes through the National Evaluation Series website, which is NES. You can get the link at your state's credentialing website. California is the CTC, the California Teacher Credentialing website, and it will link you there. It is offered year-round. There are testing centers that you can use and take this exam in person at a testing center. They also offer online proctoring at your home. So you'll want to look into that and to determine which one is best for you. The cost will vary again state by state, but it's around the 140, 139 mark. The retake policy is there is a wait period. So typically that wait period is around 45 days. It might be as low as 35 days in some states. But the reason for that wait period is if you've taken the exam and you did not pass, because and this is all or one, right? You have to take all of it together. If you don't pass, you have to wait for the cycle for the next version of the exam to come in, which is approximately 45 days. So they don't want you just going and taking it and then 20 days later taking the exact same exam. That's what the wait period is for. But there is no deadline on the fort right now for any state that I am aware of. This, where the RICA, you actually have a deadline because they are removing that exam as an option. So it does give you more time to prepare. Now, that doesn't mean your program or your credentialing program, your induction, those kinds of things may not. They may have deadlines that you have to follow based on your specific situation. So make sure that you are planning accordingly. You do not want to procrastinate. You want to get in there and start preparing right when you know you're going to have to take this exam, because life happens and you want to get it off your plate. There are also alternative testing arrangements. So this means that you may qualify for additional time. And there are certain circumstances that this may be you. If you have a documented cognitive learning disability like dyslexia, if you have certain health conditions that would require you to have frequent breaks and you need to get up more often and that would use up some of your time, if English is not your primary language, if you have anxiety or other conditions, attention deficit disorder may qualify as well. So if this is something that you may have a situation where you could qualify for additional time, my recommendation is to apply for the additional time. It's free to apply. It's just a wait period to get that information back. There is also a practice test available through the NES website. And I will give you that when I when I stop this recording here. There's some additional documentation to kind of help you get started. You do want to take these practice exams, but I want to be really clear. The way that you pass an exam like this, it's not just about learning the terminology and taking practice exams. You have to learn and understand the content. You have to be able to take all of this and figure out, how would I apply it? Because that's what the exam is going to be asking you to do. So, any questions about the exam itself before I jump into this other piece? All right, good. If not, I will open it up for questions at the end as well. So I have created a new course called Fort Prep 101. This is not my first rodeo with digital courses. My RICA Prep 101 course I actually created in 2018, took it online in 2020, and it has helped hundreds and hundreds of teachers to pass their reading instruction competency exam. This course is brand new, which means I know more about the digital platform. There are more tech tools available, so it's a different, more engaging and deeper in content than the RICA is. It was a lot of fun to write. This is kind of my jam. This is all the stuff that I lived and breathed for 27 years. So it's a way for me to dig into that area I get really passionate about. So my course, Fort Prep 101, is a full asynchronous course. That means it is already pre-recorded. It is password protected. So once you enroll, you have a login and a password, and you can go through that content any time that it is convenient for you, whether it's in the middle of the night, early in the morning. You know, we have lives outside of education. If you've got small children, you're going to have to find lots of weird times to get your studying done. And so that asynchronous format makes that really, really helpful. And the course covers everything that you need to know to pass the exam. Covers all 4 sub areas with video lessons and slide deck overviews. There are study planners, guides, handouts, practice tests that are embedded in there to check your understanding. The constructed responses, the videos there are help you to write the constructed response. But if you would like to have personal feedback from me on your written responses, there is a membership option for you to do that, so that I would actually read your constructed response and kind of email back and forth with you through Google Docs, so that I can show you what it is that you may be struggling with, those things that you are doing well. So if you're a little unsettled or insecure about your writing, that's a really good option, because I'll be able to coach you through that. It's also a very supportive and visual, teacher-friendly platform. The instruction is all about, how are you going to use this in your class? And I do that differently than other people, because when you can see how it is going to be used, you are going to be able to internalize that and apply it to your own life and easily draw it out from a testing question. So that has been a really good way to set up this type of course to help you prepare. There is a mobile app to access the course. So my digital platform is Kajabi. That is that's where my digital courses are housed, in the web host called Kajabi. And Kajabi has a mobile app. So you just go to the App Store or the Play Store, and you can download the Kajabi app. You would use your credentials to log in to your course, and that way you can actually consume all of that content, whether it's on your desktop, your tablet, your laptop, your phone. You can go from different devices and it will sync all of your work. So maybe you've got, a few minutes at your lunch and you're like, I'm just going to look at my phone and kind of go through some of these things. You've got a few minutes, it's right there at your fingertips. Also, there is, let's see, you will have access to the content for 1 year. So these are 1-year memberships to the course. And at the end of 1 year, it does not auto renew. So it's not like if you forget at the end of the year, oh my gosh, I'm going to be charged again. No, it's a one price in order to start the course. At the end of the year, your access will go away. There will be an email that'll say, hey, your membership is going to expire soon. If you've finished the Foundations of Reading test, great. Let me know. Congratulations. If you haven't and you would like to join again, there will be an additional discount for returning members. And there are affordable pricing options here to fit your budget so that you can get the access that you need. This is the homepage inside of the course. I love this so much. When I was doing the RICA, I would oftentimes take screenshots from Zoom of my students. So this is one of our Zoom sessions for the RICA. And I just wanted you to see how many people we would get in there on our lives and do working on this. As I said, I've got so much experience, but it makes me so happy. I want you to know that when you log into this course, you've got all of these new teachers cheering you on as well. And what I'm going to do at the end of this recording, if you'd like to see, I'm going to actually take you in and show you what it looks like. So there are some additional things that will be coming as membership grows. This is brand new. It's been around since August. So we are only in this course about 4 to 6 weeks at this point. We have a few members right now, but once we have more, there's going to be some additional offerings. Something I did with the RICA, which was really wonderful, was we did live virtual workshops. So we would jump on Zoom very much like this. I'm teaching the content and everybody is here consuming that content with me as I'm moving through that. This allows for deep dives into that key content area. There's lots of time for Q&A. You get to meet other peers that are going through the same experience as you are. And it's a way to get a really deeper look at the content. It was one of my favorite things about RICA Prep 101. So as soon as we have enough people to do that, that is something that I will be offering. I'm hoping we'll get there about the beginning of the year, maybe around January, something like that. There will also be an audio podcast course. So what that means is the audio from the course is extracted and it is put into a podcast format so that you can just listen to it in the car. Gives you another way to consume that content so that you are, hearing this information. I always say repetition is the key to mastery, and everybody can learn anything. The variable is how many repetitions you need to learn the content. So I found that a podcast course was a really good way to do this. It's ideal for busy teachers, those of you that have to commute. I think it's a really great way. Some people would tell me they'd turn on my podcast when they were winding down, at the end of the night in bed, and they would listen to me talk about the RICA. So whatever works for you, but that was something that I know a lot of people did like, so I am bringing that back. And I am in the process of getting professional development units through an accredited university. So once that happens, you can actually earn units as you are preparing. And units are really important for new teachers because the way you make more money in most states is by adding professional development units so that you can move up the salary schedule. So that is also coming. Now, I want you to know, and this is where I get really passionate about why I do this. This isn't about just passing the test, okay? You are not here to just pass a test. You're here to be the kind of teacher that your students never forget. You didn't go into teaching because, you just wanted to leave class early, right? You wanted your summer breaks. No, every teacher goes in because we have a passion for education. We want to be that teacher that really makes a difference in our students' lives. And I don't know if you know this, but So many brand new teachers leave the profession. Up to 50% of brand new teachers leave the profession within the first 5 years. That means all the time, all the money, all of the schooling that you have put in, 50% leave. And that is because it's not because they don't care. It's not even because the job is hard, which it is. It's because teachers don't have the tools that they need to actually teach kids. They have lots of other things that they've had to do, but they don't have that real classroom experience in order to do that. And that causes a lot of frustration. So this course is here as more than a test prep opportunity. This is professional development. I have had so many people say to me, Emily, I got more out of that 4-hour workshop than I did in my whole semester of my reading class at the university. We pack a lot in here. And so it is professional development that is grounded in structured literacy and the science of reading. It's about real classroom realities, not just theory. It is about instructional practices that are actually going to help your kids learn. There's a lot of things that you could learn for the fort. I'm going to focus in on the things that are really going to help you on the exam and help you in the classroom. So you're going to walk away with more than a passing score. You're going to walk away with a foundation in literacy that's going to help you be an amazing teacher. So the course is really my ideal student. You know, I always say this, we all have instructors that we adored and we have instructors that we got through it, right? And I may or may not be your person. And that's okay. No matter what you decide, I cheer you on. But my ideal student, I decided this was important for you to know who I work best with. I'm looking for that teacher that is committed to becoming impactful. I want that hardworking teacher. I want somebody who is passionate about literacy and student success. I want somebody who is coachable and open to learning. If you think that you know it all, I'm not your person because none of us do. I've been in this over 30 years. I still don't know it all. I know a great deal, but I don't know it all. I'm looking for those of you that are willing to put in the work for long-term success. If you are lucky enough to have the type of career I did that lasted 27 years in the classroom and 30 plus in an ancillary role, this career has brought me so much joy. It has brought me friendships. It has, so many great connections. And I hope it's the same for you. You're starting that learning now. This is also for those of you that are ready to move from confusion to clarity. You're done just kind of getting by. And you're looking to gain knowledge and support, not just information. I am a mentor. That is what I do. I am my other side of what I do. I am a reading intervention coach and consultant. So I am working with schools and districts and interventionists and teachers across the country. I'm training, I'm doing a great deal of this. And I bring that in to this course as well so that you do not feel alone. You will have somebody that you can talk to about this very challenging career and this exam. So this course was built for the teacher that you are becoming, not just the test you're preparing for. And I think that's really important. We look at this exam like an opportunity to learn some really important stuff that you need to know. And if you embrace that opportunity, you're going to be the teacher that you want to be, and you'll pass the exam. So here are just a few, and I'm not going to read them all. I'll kind of talk as you're reading these a little bit. But as I mentioned to you, RICA Prep 101 has been around since 2018. And if you go to Google and you Google RICA Prep 101, there's over 200 5-star reviews. And these are just a few that I snapped out of Google. I would encourage you to go to Google and read the reviews. I can tell you how great this experience is going to be, but it's going to make a lot more of an impact when you actually read the messages from other teachers. So don't hesitate to do that. Go in there, read what they have to say. They're super kind, and it makes me very humble to hear their sweet words. So here is the membership options. There are 3 options depending on what you are looking for. There's the standard membership, the VIP membership, and then there is a monthly plan. So the standard membership is at 1-year access. It includes the digital course, everything that we talked about, the video lessons, the guides, the practices, the constructed response tips from inside of the course. There's printable study planners, exam checklists. There is email support from me also, and you have access to this for about 12 months, okay? So exactly 365 days. The cost of the standard membership is $147 for the year. It's one charge only. It does not renew. The VIP membership, this is 1-year access. You get all of the same things, but in addition to that, you get the personal review and feedback from me on your constructed responses. We can go back and forth as often as you need. You have priority email support. You'll get a certificate of completion at the end. And this is the one that would earn units once those units are in place. That professional development unit will come from the VIP membership. And this is really for that test taker who wants expert feedback and added professional value. You're looking for a mentor in addition. This is for that VIP. The standard is really for those of you that are self-paced. You can keep yourself on track and you just want access via email a little bit. That's the standard. The monthly plan is a 3-month minimum requirement. It's really the equivalent of a standard membership, but the payment is $47 per month. So it's a subscription. So it will charge your account $47 each month. It's 3-month minimum. You can cancel anytime after that 3-month commitment. You can even cancel early if you pass the exam early. So let's say that you were in the course for 2 months, you took the exam, you passed it, you send me your score report and say, I'm done, I'm finished. I will cancel it for you under that circumstance. So this is really good if you are looking for short-term access or you like the idea of a smaller payment, but more often. This is an option for you. You still get the full access. You do not get the constructed the constructed response review. And because you're here with me live, every time I do a newbie webinar like this, I really like to thank those of you who attend live by giving you a discount. So for right now, I want you to write this down. If you are interested in joining the course, you can use the coupon code FORT Newbie 922. FORT Newbie 922 is just today's date. If you enroll before Thursday, any of these 2 memberships will reduce by 10%. Okay, so it would give you about $15 off of the standard. It would give you about $19 off. It does not apply to the monthly membership. But that is just a thank you for being here because I know you're all very busy and I do appreciate your time for that. Any questions about these things though before I move on?
Yes, I do have. I want to know more clarification upon the units. Yeah, can you please
Yep. So
explain?
because the course is new, I have submitted the coursework and the outline to UMass for evaluation. I'm just waiting to hear back from them once it's approved. My hope is that I can go through UMass this time. The cost of the unit for UMass is, I think, $60 or $70 per unit. That's a fee to them for the unit. I used to do the RICA units through Teachers College of San Joaquin, but their units cost you $90. And so I'm trying to reduce that cost for you by going through a different university. So it's taking me a little bit longer to have that. So I'm hoping in the next 30, 60 days to have that firmed up. Once that is approved, inside of the digital course, I can open up any person's membership and I can view everything that you've completed. Once the course is completed and you've shared your constructed responses with me, that I can issue you a certificate of completion that you could then upload for 1 unit of professional development credit. Now, most districts or schools will take that and apply it to your professional development in order to move up in your salary schedule. You always want to check with your school specifically before you do that, before you pay for the unit. But it's always a good idea. Teachers always need continuing education units in order to renew their credential, so it can count for that as well.
And is there any expiration date for the certification of completion or it stays?
As long as you have an active membership. So if you started it and you would complete it within the year, if you needed to renew to get into year 2, that's fine. It's as long as you have an active membership.
And if it's not active, then how much is charged?
Well, you wouldn't be able to get, I couldn't issue the certificate of completion if your unit, or I'm sorry, if your membership wasn't active, because I wouldn't have access any longer to what you've done. That's why I have to have it while you're active. So let's say, for example, that you're planning to take this next summer. So you start going through the course, you're going to take it kind of on a slower pace so that by summertime, you're going to take it and pass it. If you've done that, you had a 1-year membership and you passed, I could then issue that certificate of completion. Although, let me be clear, you don't have to pass the exam to get the certificate of completion. You just have to have an active membership so I can see your course completion inside of the digital platform. And then once you have that, you would apply that certificate to the website of the university and get the unit just like you would get any other units from any other university. You would then get a transcript that would go to your school district.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great question. Yeah, I'm hoping that's going to be done here pretty quickly. So here are some next steps. What I would suggest, I always say, don't procrastinate. If you know you have to take the exam, it is best to start as soon as you can. The content is hard. It is heavy. It's like learning a foreign language because you're learning to speak reading, teacher. That's what you're learning to speak. And so I would suggest as soon as you know that you are going to do it, and if you are interested, you are welcome to enroll in the course. The day that you enroll, you'll have automatic access. You can get started right away. This course is housed on my main website, emilymuccianti.com. I'll drop that in the chat for you so that you can access it. And I'll also give you a direct link. But I have other courses that are here as well for reading intervention teachers and some other things. So I'll take you and show you what that looks like. Now, anybody who is currently enrolled in RICA Prep 101, because there's still a little bit of time on RICA, they have already been given access to this course. They may need to call me to send them email me to send them a password link, but it should already be in their library. So that is for those that right now are RICA Prep members. And I want to remind you that there are lots of ways that you can follow me. You can follow me on Instagram at Fort Prep 101 with Emily. I have 2 Instagram accounts. One is for the Fort Prep with Emily, and the other one is just Reading Diva 06. I also have a YouTube account, 2 of those, one Fort Prep 101 with Emily. On YouTube, there are a number of different videos that give you tips and test taking things and like that. And I also want to remind you to join our free Facebook page Fort Prep 101. You can get in there, and I do a lot of announcements and things like that on that platform so that you are staying kind of in the know. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do next. In just a moment, I will end the recording, but I want to, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I want you to know that you are not alone. You do not need to do this on your own by yourself. I am here to support you every step of the way. If you felt like this was important information that you would like to share with colleagues, with your induction professors, your universities, please share my information. I'm happy to answer any other questions. We do these newbie webinars about once a month. So there will be another one in October that will introduce a new group of people. But I want to make sure that this is the year you can pass this exam. I know that having all of these requirements on your shoulders feels heavy. It feels like a burden. But I want to remind you that teaching a student to read is the single most important thing that you are ever going to do as an educator. No matter the grade, no matter the content, we are all reading teachers in a sense. And so it's going to give you an opportunity to learn how to do that and do it well. And thank you so, so much. I do appreciate it. I'm going to stop the recording.